Well, welcome back to Krown's Crypto Cave. Lovely little Sunday morning over here from Chicago, Illinois. Got a good night's sleep myself, so I'm feeling nice and energized. Looking forward to a gym session later today. But before that, we got some long-term analysis to discuss today, as it is a Sunday, so we're going to go deep and down and dirty into these magic internet money charts. And lower time frames, you know, the more proximal action that we've just seen, actually looking a little more frothy and perhaps even offering up a potential resolution sooner rather than later. I mean, things are looking very, very interesting as of this morning. Some action in the early morning hours, so let's see if we can actually get some follow through. Perhaps this might even be the stream where we actually do catch something, which would be amazing, because you can only talk about the same fucking stale price action for so long, right, before it gets too boring. Anyways, with all of that said, I think it's time to get into the charts, like inside the charts. But before that, as always, wish you well, wish you the best of the best. Also the happiest of the happiest on this nice little relaxing Sunday, maybe even an eventful price action Sunday. And with that said, let's get in a live scene right here, right now. Initiating that. See you in there, baby. Beam me up, motherfucker. There it is. Bitcoin on the hourly. No, just kidding. Let's go to a daily. Let's look at an actual time frame. And right now, Bitcoin getting another rejection off that red 10-day moving average. But essentially, we're just wedged between this area and that cyan 89 exponential moving average right around here. And the way that this is kind of whoops, looks like there might be an echo. I see what that was about. Sorry about that. Jesus Christ, man. I wonder why that happened. Oh, it must be coming from my. You guys don't know about the new camera, do you? All right, it should be fixed now. It should be fixed. Sorry about that. Just a little bit of a fake out with my scam sound system. There you go. Watch out for the stop hunt on the you goddamn sound bears. I've had enough of you guys. Anyways, I think actually the 12-hour gets things better right now. We're looking like we're really tightening up price action between the yellow 20-month exponential moving average and this white 200 moving average right here. I do believe that resolution will likely be had. Leading on to the bigger time frames, as if we can actually confirm above or below one of these major areas. You do see that the white 200 symbol has been. Jesus Christ, man! Activate the echo next time with the shitcoin, please. There's always something that goes wrong, man. You know, we have the best production. We have the best production ever. You know, so professional in some ways, and then myself just so limited in some other ways. But yeah, looking at this right here on a 12-hour chart, I do believe that we'll likely have resolution on the break of either below the white 200 simple moon average or above the yellow 21 exponential moon average. That's likely going to be the earliest and that's going to be the earliest lowest time frame that I'd be comfortable with calling resolution on this greater hold. The greater hold being this whole formation that we've been putting in for the past 2 months, going on all the way from late June right here, as you can see. So Bitcoin really starting to look like it's actually tightening up. I did say that I'd be expecting a resolution on this formation, probably like early to middle of September, but we're pretty much already at middle of early September because, well, it's basically end of August, so you might as well just ride it off. But I was thinking, you know, we probably have resolution somewhere around this area right here, about 60. Oops, sorry about that. Ground beef coming up. You know, somewhere in this area right around here, as that's about 69% full, and that's when these things become extremely likely to break. But you do see, regardless of the fact, whichever way that you're kind of looking at it, whether it's the 12-hour 200 simple to the downside or the daily cyan 89 exponential moving average to the downside, that seems to be our actionable and documentable area to kind of be aware of. Now, I need to see that on a closing basis. Not just a wick is good enough, but I need to see it on a closing basis. However, because we did do something, or because we're likely to do very little on this weekly close, which is going to be closing later tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern time. If we do set it anything like this as a doji dildo, we could also say that just taking out the low of this guy at 97.55, not even closing below, but taking out the low of this guy, and I would be looking for continuation down to this down to the yellow 20 exponential moving average on the weekly. So things are becoming, now there's multiple ways of kind of judging this next trade. So this is making things a lot more exciting, and whether it's a 12-hour daily or weekly taking out this area, all of those would be good enough for me to really be looking at the next sort of big major move. Like I said, that would be resolution on this whole formation right here. And we actually, if we do break to the downside, we would have a measure move to bring us all the way down towards, I mean, in this case, about 7,200 to 7,300. Now I do believe that there'd be bounces along the region, along the way, and more importantly, I wouldn't actually hold true to this area being hit right here, like 1-to-1. Even if it did happen, I do think that Bitcoin might have a legitimate chance to bottom bottom out and reverse upon any one of these major areas. Not this one right here at about 9,400. That one would be irrelevant, but this guy right here would be the first major area at about 8,850 I'd be looking at. Then we have the 200 exponential moving average, also consistent with the gap on CMEs, right around 83 to 8,400, and then we could meet the full measure move below there. If we fail all those prior bounces, then I'd be looking at that. But of course, this is still extremely premature for me to even talk about this, because we have not broken it just yet, and it is just as likely that we do break out to the upside, although things are starting to mount with a little bit more of a nastier tune. But if we were to break out back above about 12.3 to 12.4, I'd be targeting a move towards 15,000 and likely beyond at that point in time. So this is a very, very interesting place for Bitcoin, because we're really going to be deciding the next 2 to 3 months of price action, I'd imagine, with how we resolve this formation right here. Now, looking at momentum oscillators, we are kind of looking nasty, to be fair. We do have daily Stokes crossing the downside, a fresh cross to the downside, or it's technically not confirmed as of right now, but to pop up at the edge of the bearish control zone and then reject from there and then come back down does typically not bode well. We're also going to see a bearish cross of the yellow 21 exponential moving average and the green 50 exponential moving average if Bitcoin fails to get back above this 10,450-ish region relatively soon. But this is, again, all on higher time frame stuff. So if we could go down to a 4-hour, we could come up with some ranges that I think are pretty damn easy to document, and I'd say we can come up with an easy way of kind of just deciding this. Oh, holy shit! I must have deleted all my. Holy shit! I actually deleted all my drawing tools on this Bit Mexican chart. That's okay. I can redraw them. It's not a big. It's really not a big deal. But a little bit surprising right there. Anyways, let me just chart this out one more time. We'll do this guy right there, 97.50 for our lower end. We'll get a nice little liquid zone down there between 98.50 and 97.50. Let's actually put a blue box right here, and that's going to be our more preliminary support from the 4-hour dildo time frame. So I suppose you could also use a 4-hour to judge this one. A 4-hour dildo close below 97.50 would probably be okay for me for calling resolution. But by the same token, you do see this area right here, right around 10,450, a very big pivot for Bitcoin as far as this overall consolidation goes. And how do we know that? Well, we see that it gets respected quite a few times throughout this whole consolidation for like a kind of like being the gatekeeper between these what do you want to call them, these hunts to the downside and then these breakouts to the upside along the way. And right now we've rejected from it twice in the last couple days, and had a little bit of a bull trap above it just over on the 21st, which was just a few days, or sorry, about a little bit earlier last week. So more importantly, we could say from a lower time frame perspective, as long as we're below 10,450, pressure is on. Pressure is certainly on. How many cows have you consumed today? Actually, just 1.5 pounds today. It was quite an early morning. Anyways, yeah, man. So looking at the 4-hour right here, if we could, if Bitcoin could reverse and get back above 10,450, I'd say that would take off the immediate pressure, and it'd be back to looking for this to evolve back up to the 11,000s. But for right now, as long as Bitcoin's held below there, as a trader, I mean, we're quite literally in the middle of these two major ranges right here, between 98.50, which is also the Cyan 89 exponential moving average on the daily, which could be, which would be an actionable step for myself to take that next major trade. And then this guy right here isn't necessarily a major trade trend line, but it is good enough for the medium time frame perspective, and likely would lead us up into the lower 11,000s if we do take it out to the upside. But for right now, you can see a clear rejection. We're just setting in more and more lower highs, which is certainly concerning, as all rallies have failed thus far within the last 2 months. I mean, all rallies have just been piss poor and getting weaker and weaker along as time goes on. With that said, we do see that actually we are kind of creating a little bit of a ascending triangle going on with what we're doing right now. Yeah, I don't think it's fleshed out enough. I do think that we could certainly spend some more time within this region, but it is in there. Again, I'm not necessarily implying a resolution on that just by the nature of that name. Just want to kind of show that we do see multiple things lining up with this 10,450-ish area as an actionable area on the lower time frames. That means if Bitcoin can get back above it, maintain above it, then yes, I'd be looking at a likely another move towards 11,000, then probably beyond towards 11.5 region. But that would be a little more proximal down the road. For right now, Bitcoin is literally just stuck in the middle of this baby, and to me, that's a complete no trade zone. Looking at our lower time frame oscillators, we actually do see 4-hour Stokes want to cross back up to the upside, but this is a little bit more hard to judge, just because this 4-hour has been a complete Darth Maul dildo right here. So we're really, I mean, this is hunt territory both ways, right? You collect all the stops above these guys right here, getting that genius shortened, and then collect the buy stops down. I mean, and then collect the long stops down here. The other way. Darth Maul just fucking wrecking everyone with the liquidiest dildo. I mean, Jesus Christ, man, it is nasty. But technically, we do have 4-hour Stokes looking like they want to cross the upside within this region, but we still need to wait for this guy to close, which is another 49 minutes and 40 seconds. And to me, this feels like this is ripe for fuckery right now. Let's go see if the other time frames can kind of shed some light. We see 3-hour Stokes looking like they want to snake to the downside. In fact, we do have about 2 hours and 49 minutes for that one left. So again, you know, it's not necessarily confirmed as of just yet, but that was a nasty close that we just got on it, to be fair. 2-hour Stokes looking like they are weak and want to reject the neutral zone back to the downside, but again, still 49 minutes to go. I mean, these are unconfirmed right now. Hourly looks nasty. Hourly looks like some downside actually, reject from the bullish control zone, perhaps a little bit of a move back up to 10-150, and then test some more downside. But again, you do see all these wicks being collected within this region, so anything lower than this region does imply a little bit of a change of behavior on the lower time frames, which of course it's not necessarily important that the lower time frames do it, but it can lead on into the higher time frames, which really do have major implications with the overall massive formation. Anyways, just reading some comments here. Zoot says, Krown, can you confirm hidden bullish divergence on 2-day and weekly with RSI? Probably do not have hidden bullish divergence because we do not have a confirmed local low. So no, I would say that would be the wrong way of looking at this. Not only that, but it's also just not even in the charts to begin with. I mean, you don't even have the signature of a lower low on RSI with higher lows on price action. We one, do not have confirmed higher lows here, and two, we do not have lower lows on RSI. So no, I'd say wrong on both accounts. Not the way that I'd be looking at it. And right now, it's really time to be paying attention to price action rather than oscillators. Oscillators are not going to be so accurate during these last kind of etches of a major formation like this. In fact, price action is just the king right here. As you know, looking at anything else can really get you into some trouble. Moving averages are okay because they're going to get those trending moves, but expect them to snake around a lot during periods of consolidation like this. Anyways, while we are here, like I said, the weekly is probably the next easiest trade. Depending upon how we break this one, assuming that we close at some sort of a doji low, I would say that would also likely be good enough. If we do break it to the upside with a tick back above about 10,950, then I would be looking for a move into the actually maybe even all the way to like 12,000 region, especially 11.5, but probably 12,000. But again, anywhere below this low, and technically speaking, we'd be targeting to move towards the yellow 20 moving average on the weekly right there. Of course, that is confluent with our major area as well, going all the way back on over here from the genesis of Bitcoin with these two red arrows pointed towards this baby. We do see the dotted trend line getting the phases of Bitcoin extremely well. Whenever we're below it, best time to be an investor, and as traders, it's best time to be a seller on that trend line. Once we break above parabolic 1, parabolic 2, blow off your top, come back down, and where do we base upon for the next literal 2 years? We literally for 2 years base upon this same trend line. Beautiful buys the whole way through, and then go parabolic once again as it kind of does its duty, and then we blow off our top, and then we actually break that same dotted trend line to the downside right here, also confluent with the purple 200 exponential moving average on the weekly, very important. And then we have the same sort of action right here as we're below it once again, as we did over here in 2011 to 2013, where Bitcoin is kind of in an accumulation phase, and once we break back above, similar to what we saw in 2013 as well, we do see a nice parabolic move, bringing us from 7,000, almost doubling price action all the way to 14,000 just in a few weeks, really. But more importantly, the same dotted trend line would be coming in at the current trajectory right around that high 80, around 8,900 to around 8,900, which as you can see is confluent exactly with that yellow 21 exponential moving average, which is also important because just from a historical standpoint, Bitcoin loves to play off that 21 on a weekly schedule during its bullish dumps, if you want to call it that. Bullish dumps is the wrong word to use, but you get what I'm saying. During these straight upwards markets, when Bitcoin wants to play out some downside, it typically does come down to the yellow 21 and like to rally off there. Now we can get wicks below, that's okay. Historically speaking, we do have a few examples with some wicks below, but for the most part, it comes down to that area, and that becomes the buy, so to speak. But here's the thing: everyone's looking at the fucking same thing right now, man. Everyone is looking at the same goddamn thing. No one, the 21 exponential moving average on the weekly is no secret. You're hearing everyone and their mother like screaming about it like it's become a goddamn meme nowadays, which is concerning. So expect some fuckery around there. Anyways, I need to take another sip of this water, man. I am goddamn thirsty. Hey, what's up, Kazoki? And I see you over there. What's up? I hope everyone in Twitch fam's doing all right now. Anyways, so yeah, historically speaking, we do like to see that. So Here's the thing, is that Bitcoin did come down to that level. Obviously, that would imply resolution on this guy, which would, technically imply a target all the way down to 72 to 7,300. But like I said, I would take it one step at a time. I would treat this area as a potential bottoming area because at the end of the day, this dotted trend line, if we break back down below it, I think it's more likely that this is going to be considered just a full-on bull trap here, and we wouldn't just be coming down to 7,200, which is a 6.8 Fibonacci retracement, by the way, as well from this whole last cycle. But so we'd probably bounce there, but I do think that we'd end up going lower. I mean, we just really don't see that. And historically speaking, again, whenever we're below this trend line, that is, as a trader, that is, that is pressure, and that is certainly during the more intense downwards action. So I'd really be careful. If we actually do break that area, thinking that like 72 to 7,300 is going to be the full-on reversal point, I think that would be a little bit premature. We'd have to kind of take it one step at a time. But for right now, nothing's really broken, so I don't want to cause the FOMO bells. But it does, the more and more that we look at, the more and more this kind of looks a little bit more nasty. If we put on the death cross moving averages, the green 55, or sorry, the green 50 and the purple 200 on the 6-hour chart, we just got death cross. We got a fresh death cross on Bitcoin just as of last night. Not only that, but look at this. We've come up and we've tested the 50 exponential moving average, and we've rejected from it pretty fucking hard right here. So it tells me that we actually want to play this out, assuming that we do close this next 6-hour dildo, anything like this, with a massive look to the upside. We still got another 2 hours and 43 minutes and 32 seconds left to go, but anywhere below the 21 would tell me that this is likely going to hold some weight as these two moving averages get more and more divergence away from each other, which is telling me that the trend is actually strengthening. Like it's getting more powerful to the downside as all these rally attempts get weaker and weaker. So this is concerning here, and this is really the first time. These last few days are really the first time that I've looked at the charts and I've said Bitcoin's actually in danger sooner rather than later. Like as an actionable trade, you're probably going to hear people talking about, I knew it was over here. It's like, well, yeah, I mean, that's obviously a lower high, no doubt about that. But we're talking about like an actual breakout trade, which is completely different. So at the end of the day, that's kind of what I've been keeping my eyes on. But I do want to present a few other things as well. So let's go over here to Bitstamp. I want to do a long-term chart, and we're going to put on two moving averages. And I want to shout out Andrew from the program chat for pointing this one out, because this was pretty damn cool. I missed this one myself. This is something that does hold weight in traditional markets, and we can play around with this a little bit more, but I'll kind of show in the same way that he presented it. And essentially what we're looking at here is we have two moving averages. We have the white 200 simple, and we have the blue 377 exponential moving average. You can see that they are getting very, very close to each other as it is right now. In fact, they are pretty much kissing each other. They're in each other's throats. They don't got protection, and they're about to have that goddamn baby, a little bit of a red dildo baby perhaps, but we'll go back in time and see what's happened. So this cross is something that does get respected in traditional markets quite a bit. The reason why I haven't really put too much weight on it in Bitcoin land is just because I didn't think that Bitcoin would really have enough history to make it worthwhile. And I'd still even kind of think that, but I think that we have enough here that it becomes interesting enough to talk about, and might as well show it. So the last bearish cross that we had between these guys was this guy right on over here, which sent Bitcoin a little bit later, a little bit post maturely, if you want to call it that, below 6,000 all the way down to 3,100. So we do see that it does get some play, and if we go back a little bit further, we do see that the last cross to the downside before that got the last major down movement in the last bear market as well. Not the best timing of it, to be fair, not the best timing of it, but it does seem to have some weight with the overall general trajectory of the macro phases, right? That's the main key. It's not really like an actionable thing in and of itself, but it gives us insight into the general phase, what sort of phase that we're in. And then the last cross to the upside that we had before that was coming out of this last bear market right here, of course. And you can see that Bitcoin was in a pretty damn similar thing. In fact, you do see that Bitcoin was essentially doing one of these. It was essentially doing one massive symmetrical triangle, right? Well, that sounds exactly what we're doing right now. So we're about to see them cross in the present times of Bitcoin. We have a very similar formation going on. I do believe that even our oscillators are probably similar as well. Do we see similarities here? I'd be looking for some sort of a falling wedge. Maybe not. No, I don't see it there. Anyways, we do see the similar formation though. So we do have a nice symmetrical triangle. This one maybe a little more ascending triangle, I suppose you could say. But depending upon how you chart this one, we do have a nice, a nice consolidation while these two moving averages approach each other and then cross right in over here. We do get a few tests down to the 200 simple, but ultimately it does explode to the upside, you know, for a 2x move over the next couple months. So I would be going back into the present times and kind of relating that to what we're seeing right now as these two guys get extreme. These two guys, like this guy and this girl, this guy and this girl. The exponential is definitely the guy. The simple moving average, definitely the girl. No, just kidding. We need to be inclusive of all genders with this channel. That's right, baby. That's fucking right. We ain't fucking Nazis around here. We're goddamn gender accepting peoples with moving averages, which makes no sense. Anyways, we have the same thing going on right here, right? Bitcoin in one massive symmetrical triangle. And we do see these two moving averages approaching each other, right? We're all gay for TA. That's great. I'm gay for EMA, baby. You goddamn right. Anyways, you know, we do see these two guys approaching each other, and we are approaching the bottom side of the support right now. So historically speaking, that was actually the last big. That was actually like the last big one before the bull explosion here, right? Bitcoin does consolidate a little bit more. In fact, does test down like we said, but these tests were buys, and these wicks right here, I think, are more wicks of illiquidity. Not only that, but look at your historical volatility percentile. We saw that nice orderly drop off going all the way from left to right. Not only that, but we should see it on volume as well. Well, I guess I mean you can certainly see it on volume, you know, dropping off from left to right, but it's not really like in your face, I suppose. But more importantly, the historical volatility percentile is absolutely. And look at this, right when we got to a zero read right here, that was before the big bad breakout. You know, again, you know, more than a 2x, and I mean really realistically, that was really the big breakout from that last major cycle into the 20,000 high essentially. So if we go back into our present times, we do see a very similar signature on the historical volatility percentile. We do see that it's dropping off and having a very orderly drop off going from left to right here. We're well below that moving average, which tells me that we are still trending down, and likely again somewhere in this region here, middle of September, I'd probably be looking for resolution on this as it kind of tightens up a little bit too much. But remember, this is a mean reverting indicator. It's set to explode, and it is essentially telling us that no matter which way we explode this whole formation, whether it is to the upside or the downside, it is going to be a massive explosion most likely. The reason why I say that is because we are building up a big cause within this formation. This formation taken about I think about 2 months thus far. It's been June, July, and then most of August. So sorry, a little bit of June. So like, yeah, about 2.5 months we could say. Or coming up around it, and with that, we could say that, you know, that's building up a massive cause, and a massive cause leads to a bigger effect. And the last time that we really spent, you know, 2 to 3 months even consolidating a region was this guy here, you know, this guy all the way from December to March in this area right here. Another triangle, right? A triangle of sorts, I suppose you could say. A little bit of an ascending triangle, I suppose. But at the end of the day, built up an amazing cause, and that led up to a 4x bull explosion to the upside. And of course, before that, during 2018. Right, we had this descending triangle right here from August to what was it, November, and so that was like another 3 to 4 month consolidation, and then Bitcoin just loses 50% of its price. So again, that is the big thing, right? That is the big thing, is that Bitcoin has built up a massive cause here. Whether you're bullish or bearish, I can tell you that in the next few weeks, I would not be bullish. I would be looking for a massive move. I think that we're going to be done tightening up this area relatively soon, sooner rather than later now, and things are starting to look more frothy. Going over here to the weekly, we should talk about the weekly a little bit more. I think that it is appropriate to go over the weekly Stokes here as they come down to the edge of the bullish control zone. So here's the thing: if bulls are going to show their hand, they're going to do it likely this week by bringing it back up and defending this 9850ish to 9900ish region on a daily closing basis. Why do I say that? Because we're coming down to the edge of the bullish control zone, which is actually okay as long as we kind of curl back around and catch it as support, just like you saw back on over here in 2016 to 2017, right, when Bitcoin was rallying up all the way from literally $500 to $20,000. You know, the weekly Stokes get caught in this region right here, right at the 60 zone, exactly where we are right now. We could put in a nice horizontal right here to kind of denote it, and then, you know, it creates some support off there and then rallies off there. Very, very nice. So that's essentially what I'd be looking for, you know, if I did want to remain bullish for like the greater picture, with getting picked up pretty much right here and marching it back up to the top side of the range. Like I said, again, if Bitcoin can take out, if Bitcoin coming into next week at any time could take out the high of this weekly dildo at 10,550ish region, then yeah, yes, I would be looking for continuation, and this is going to start to look a lot more bullish. We'd still have these rising wicks to the upside. We still have lowering wicks to the downside. Still lower highs and higher lows. But I would say that now the ball would be in the bulls' court for the bears to respond in a sense. Like bulls would be a little bit more in control if we saw something like that. So again, this next week of trading should be relatively straightforward as far as the next big position goes. I think it can't really get too much more clear than that. As far as today's daily total closes goes, though, I do think that we probably come back up to like 10.3 and close the day somewhere around there, or like 10.200. The reason why I say that is simply because CMEs and GBDC kind of closed the week in as a doji total like that as well. You can see CMEs right here closing the week exactly as bodiless as its dildo gets, right? So I'd imagine that spot does something similar to that. So we actually probably do close more towards like 10.2 coming into the end of the day. But during the intraday fuckery, could we have resolution before then? Maybe. I'd say it's a lot less likely, though. Looking at GBDC, same thing right here. A little bit, actually, certainly not. Certainly not looking as similar as GBDC, but I do put a lot more weight on CMEs. CMEs are the chart that matters most for me. It's just, we want to see that carry on into spot and then GBDC. Ideally, all of them agree with each other, but right now, GBDC and and CME is actually looking quite different. GBDC on a daily closing actually looks okay. CMEs on a daily closing, what they got on Friday was actually not so good. In fact, a clear rejection off the red 10 symbol, not a clear rejection, but closing below the red 10 symbol did not get the same sort of love that we saw in Bitcoin. And Bitcoin, we actually saw Bitcoin close above the red 10 on Friday, and then the next day it just gets faded. So this is why I talk about a lot of fuckery on spot charts rather than CMEs. CMEs things seem to be a little bit more accurate and a little bit more easy to trade actually, which makes me really, really thirsty. So just 1 second as I take another sip right here. Just 1 second. Got to get that nice little ASMR with the sippy cup. Anyways, so yeah, I think we kind of beat that horse to death. With regards to the 4 hour, again, to kind of wrap that talk up, blue box here, 98.50 to the downside, bad. Break above this area right here, 10.450 the upside, okay. Doesn't really get the job done, but would offer up another trade potential up to 11,000 and probably beyond after that. Right now, Bitcoin's stuck in limbo. Let's go check out the crypto fear and greed index right now. We're ticking out at 33, so we're kind of caught back up in this region. We did get all the way down to the lowest that it's ever been in the history of this of this indicator, down at a 5 read, which is literally even lower than what we saw at 3,100 in December and in 6,000 in February of 2018. Remember, like that first major drive down from 20,000. So this is very, very interesting to me because we're seeing Bitcoin get to extremes while it's basically 4x'd in the last 6 months, right? I mean we 4x'd from 3,000 all the way to 12,000 and beyond in the last 6 months. So to be extremely fearful like that and represent that in chart formation, or sorry, in a sentiment indicator, but while the chart is, really, it's a high level consolidation. It's actually quite a good thing. Would suggest that the market's a little bit overreacting in this region. And when sentiment is bad, well, typically it has been a pretty damn good time to buy. Going on over here into our chart with where we can actually document the crypto fear and greed index in the yellow in the yellow, what do we want to call this, I guess, oscillator here. We do see that it has, it did have some pretty damn good implications. Anytime that we have a move below this region right here, like the extreme fearful zone, like very, 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 very extremely fearful zone below a 10 read, which almost never happens, by the way. Like I said, we've only done it a few times in the history, like literally only a couple times in the history, and they've all been major lows actually, matching up with this one right here on 6th of February before a 2x bounce to the upside, then matching up with this guy right here on 2nd of April before a $3,000 move to the upside, sorry, $4,000 move to the upside, then this one right here before this bounce, and this one right here on the 3,100 low, and then this one right here in this little consolidation before exploding to the upside for another $4,000 or $5,000, and then more recently right in over here. So I would say that because we are in a general macro uptrend, while a sentiment indicator like this is at what did get to extreme lows, it would suggest that we actually do put in a pivot here, because you'd expect that to have a double implication in contra market from what we saw in the bearish market. Bearish market naturally are going to be lower just because, you know, the sentiment's going to be the sentiment is going to be naturally bad when things look like shit, you know, for a year straight. But in this area right here, you can really see a stark contrast between what we saw just a couple months ago when we got up to literally like a 97 or 98 at the extreme high, and now we're kind of coming down all the way over here. But how much damage has really been done to price action? Not all that much. I mean, Bitcoin still holding 10,000 is okay. So I keep my eyes on that, and I'd say that that's certainly something that's a little bit more on the bullish side of things. But let's pair that up with the expected moves chart and see what the expected moves chart says. And the expected moves chart is saying what we already know, right? And that's good that we have the confluences between this and what we were looking at on just straight up price action. We have the edge of the low side of the first standard deviation is coming in where perfectly right around 98.50, right exactly in line with that cyan 89 exponential moving average on the daily, which also confluent with that blue box territory that we had. So anything below there on like a 12-hour or daily close likely does present problems, and it would be an outlier as far as this goes. Now, with the expected moves chart does say though that this is, you know, less than a 16% chance of happening, right? Remember, it's below the first standard deviation, so that's 32% chance to go above or below that area, which would be between 10,400 and 98.50. But if we're only looking at one side, to the downside in this case, and it'd be less than 16% chance. And of course, you know, if we were to even go down to like 9,600, I mean, that would be the second standard deviation. That would be less than 5% chance. I think it would be about 2.5 if if you had to cut it up. Let me actually just bring this up. I think it should show here. Yeah, the standard deviation is showing. Yeah, there you go. Anyways, so yes, that's the whole thing with it. And we do see that, you know, while it does offer up a probability for it, more importantly, it does tell me that, hey, until this thing actually does fully and formally break, that still is, you know, it's still a time to be a little bit more agnostic with looking at this price action. You know, bulls are going to be telling you that we have higher lows and that we're in a macro uptrend, and they're completely right about that, 100%. You know, they have the fear and greed index on their side. Bears going to be telling you that things look fucking nasty and that we need a pullback, and I'd agree with that too. You know, you can certainly see both sides' case. So this is the time to not get caught in either gang as a trader. This is the time to be a fucking trader and be agnostic and just look at straight up price action levels. If we get back above this level right here, I'm happy to throw on a long. If we come back down to this level right here, you know, perhaps I could try a long down there with the type, you know, with the stop below this region, or if we break this region, then I can just flip short and target that next major move to the downside. So, you know, there's multiple ways of trading this one. Of course, if you did get the short on this last test right over here, or if you got the short at 11,000, I think that you're doing you did a phenomenal job, phenomenal planning right there, and you don't really have to do all that much in this region. Just kind of manage along these areas. Of course, it's not financial advice, I'm not a financial advisor, but there you go. Anyways, let's go check out some more fundamental type things, and I do want to check out the Bitcoin network momentum, and this is very concerning. So the Bitcoin network momentum has had a pretty damn solid signature in the past, where we see an uptrend formed on this brown oscillator representing the Bitcoin network momentum, preceding these massive bull runs, right? Meaning that we create higher lows and higher highs on it, showing that the network is gaining momentum, and then once it kind of levels out and creates a support zone like this, coming out of this low, that's when things, I mean, that that's when you get your fall through, and then we start looking for lower highs and lower lows, which happens right around here, and that puts in the high a little bit later, a little bit post maturely, if you want to call it that. Then we go into about a year-long downtrend right here, lower lows, lower highs the whole way through, until we come back up, pop back up, and set in our first higher high and first higher low, not bad, and then do the same thing right on over here, right? So as of present times, you do see that we tried to pop back up and set in a higher low, but thus far it's actually failed. In fact, this one has failed spectacularly, and so we've been monitoring this for the past few weeks as probably the most concerning thing from a fundamental perspective. While technically we have not made a lower low just yet, taking out the low from late 2018. It does not look. This nosediving right here does not look very tasty. If we do head any lower, especially if we make a lower low than what we saw back on over here, I'd say that would imply some pretty nasty things overall, and say that this is likely going to be a massive bull trap. But remember, this is still a little bit further away. It does look nasty, and I do think that it's worth talking about, but it's not confirmed as of yet. I'd imagine that if we were to break down from this region on price action, we're probably going to see that fall through to the downside, and that's going to imply that we probably actually do have some legitimate downside concerns as far as the greater picture goes. I mean, this is I really don't want to make light of the situation, because this next move that we see does have major implications, And while for now I think it's still appropriate to kind of treat this this rally as as a nice move, and in a change of behavior from a bear market to a bull market, that can be taken away if we do take out these critical levels. Again, going back to our greater picture, that that dotted red trend, or that dotted trend line that the red arrows were pointing to, that's the big one for me. If we do take that area out to the downside, I would be heavily concerned with Bitcoin going forwards here, as we just haven't really seen a signature like that before, and it would imply that we have a lot more downside to go if it were to happen. But again, still very far away from happening. Just saying, if we do get down around there, that's the implication, and that's why this is so important to be on top of things right here, just because things will wash out extremely fast once we have resolution from this area, and it'll be time to make decisions once again. So yeah. Anyways, okay, cool. So we looked at all of that. I want to look at a few more things from a higher time frame perspective. I do want to kind of flesh out the bullish case a little bit more. I want to bring up the super gup, which I've shown this a million times, but I do think that it's I think that there's a few more things to say about this baby. And what do we see here? We do see that we're on a way too low of a time frame is what we see. Let's go to a 3-day. Let's go to our long-term chart right here on the BLX index, and we can see that it is green right now, and more importantly, when it turns a color, it likes to stay that color, typically on average for like years at a time, multiple years actually. Over here it stayed green for a couple of years from 2011 to 2012. Then over here another few years green from 2012 to 2014. Then over here another 3 years green from 2015 to 2018, and then more recently we just turned green in late May. So it's relatively new, and what we look at from this is that typically this like we said, this falls through for like years at a time, and this would be more or less okay. The problem with this is that we really don't want to see a break below this cyan median line, if you want to call it that. I don't even know what it really represents on this one, but we do see that it typically does hold up the dumps on these, on these upward attempts. So we are kind of flirting around with that right now. So things are, again, we're in a frothy area for right now. Oh, I also forgot to mention that 3-day Stokes are officially down. Not only that, but 3-day Jewel, like we said before, 3-day Jewel is kind of nasty. We're going to be getting another tick on this later tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tonight, and this one is angled to the downside right here, which I do not like. I mean, these signals typically do play out pretty heftily. Now, to be fair, we did get the signal on the last run to 11,000, so it technically did already get like an $1,100 or $1,200 move, which is it's good, but on a 3-day Jewel signal, we typically see these get a lot more. To give an example, the last buy signal that we got was right here, which was 3rd of Feb, right? Which 3rd of Feb was coming out of this area right here before basically a 4x to the upside, months down the road. But yes, it did play out. And the time before that we actually got a bearish signal was basically right here on 18th of December. I mean, basically at the high at $20,000. So these things typically actually denote like pretty major pivots on the market. Now, this is not the same sort of signal that we'd be looking at right here. It's this was an example of a perfect signal. This also a perfect signal right here. This is not a perfect signal. It's a pretty damn good one, but it's not perfect. I just want to show that historically, when we get something like that, all those guys kind of agreeing with each other, it usually does really drive price action like major swaths. Of course, we also do have the 3-day closing tonight as well, like I said, and we're gonna have a chance to both open and close this 3-day dildo below the yellow 21 exponential moving average. I would say though, if we close it like a doji, that would actually not be so bad. But if we close it with any sort of a red body to the downside, it's gonna look like we really actually want to push this one down to the 50, which again, the 50 would put us right around where? Right around 8,900. So 8,900 will be that next target if we do break this to the downside. Also confluent with the weekly 21 and in the dotted trend line from the from the genesis of Bitcoin. So keep that one in mind as we will see this one set in stone tonight. So that should offer up some clarity. If we do close as a doji dodo, then I'd say that would be no clarity. I'd say that would be indecision at its fucking finest and make this even more frustrating as a trader, man. Just more waiting, Again, I'm chomping at the bit to get into trades once again, and realistically, right now it's just not the time for me. So yeah. Anyways, okay, cool. So we looked at all of that. Is there anything more from a longer term time frame that I want to look at? I suppose we could throw a fib on this and see if it lines up with anything, see if it kind of suggests anything. Let's see. Let's do it like this, and let's see how we're operating within this region thus far. Yeah, so this is a fib, just just a regular fib. We got rejected from the 618, came back down to this to the 786. So far, not so good. I'm curious though if this works better as a bearish retracement, just out of curiosity. Let's see, something like this would be what I would be looking at. No, I don't think so. Well, it does get the 618 right here, does get this level right here, does get this level right. Okay, they both actually work pretty damn well, as they kind of should. But more importantly, no matter which way that you kind of plot this, we do see that they both have they both have implications with the price action. So we do see confluences with there. Just adds more validity to the structure overall. That's all I'm saying right here. I'm not really getting anything unique out of that other than that or that we already haven't said. For me, the biggest things on the board right now are the fact that Bitcoin's once again kind of playing rope-a-dope along the major support, and we do see a lot of momentum oscillators actually faking out to the downside right now. We see 12-hour Stokes, which did look like they wanted to cross to the upside earlier this morning. Now kind of indecisive once again, and they will very much open up to the downside if we do lose this 200 symbol to the downside before end of night. I mean, that will happen, and that will actually carry on over into the daily, of course, as well, which did cross the downside last night. So this is this is a very scary area. Anyways. Let's go check out the other top two shitcoins. I want to look at the total market cap of. I want to look at the total two, right? And I want to give shout out to Nadeem Crypto actually in the chats right now for pointing this out. I missed this one last night, but we actually do have a death cross looming on the total market cap for altcoins. This is only the total market cap for altcoins, not Bitcoin. Bitcoin is excluded from this calculation, but you do see a death cross approaching on the daily right here as Bitcoin is below all major moving averages, which is really fucking nasty. Really don't like that. Yeah. Thank you for reminding me to look at the monthly. I'll check it out soon. In fact, I do want to look at the monthly absolutely, just because that's probably my biggest bullish case. That's probably my biggest thing in the bullish sphere still. But first we'll talk about this. So altcoins, shitcoins, looking like they want to join the abyss right here. I mean, we're below all major moving averages as a death cross is looming within the next 48 hours, I'd imagine. So keep in mind that as long as the total market cap for altcoins is below this level right here, this 831, I'm guessing million, as long as it's below this area right here, very bad, very fucking bad. Pressure is on. Now, of course, we do have a range to be had in this range right here at around 776 million. Any sort of a close below there would imply resolution and likely lead us down to the next major support, which would be all the way down here towards what is this, almost 690 83 billion. Okay, yeah, man. These bigger numbers, I have a lot of difficulty actually reading out, but yeah, you're right. 68 billion right here, and that would be 83 billion right there. My bad. Yeah, man. I have like a legitimate issue with reading numbers. I think I'm dyslexic and just don't interpret it properly in my brain, which is really embarrassing, man. I've been doing this for a long fucking time, and like big numbers have always just scared me by saying them. It's so strange, man. Thank God for computers, otherwise I'd be fucked, man. I think I actually am dyslexic. But yeah, there's two ways of looking at this though. Of course, if you want to be bearish, you'd be saying, hey, we have a death cross looming, and we're below all major moving averages. That's very bad. If you're bullish, well, what you'd be saying is we have a falling pizza right here, which we not really do. We actually don't really have a falling pizza here. In fact, I think that the people who are talking about that are actually going to be wrong. I don't really see it here, at least not the way that you'd expect to see it. I'd say the biggest thing for the bulls are just the fact that we're on a major support, the 200 exponential moving average on the weekly, which usually one of my big rules is you don't want to be shorting into an area like that. You want to wait it. You want to wait until it actually breaks itself, and then actually get the move. Of course, the last example that we had was when Bitcoin came down to 3,100. Remember, in that region, below 4,000, I was always bearish, but I wouldn't take that next big short until we broke the 200 simple on the weekly, which just never happened. So those sorts of rules do, have kept me out of a lot of problems in the past, a lot of potential issues in the past, and in this one, no different. So I'd say until we actually formally break this one too, I wouldn't get too gung ho about it. But it also means if we break this area, very, very bad, very fucking bad, man. Probably coming all the way down here towards the 50 billion mark. I mean, it would look terrible. It would look absolutely terrible. Anyways, I need to go back to Bitcoin because I forgot to talk about the monthly. Let's go over here to the monthly, and I'd say this is the biggest thing for the bulls right now. It's just a straight up monthly. The monthly still looks fine to me. A lot of people are going to tell you that this is this is a spinning top tilt and we're going to be headed down. No, it's not. It's actually not at the top of the rally. So first and foremost, I'd be wrong. And then more importantly, you can see the reaction from the months following. This is clearly a tightening up of the last run. It's profit taking is what it is in consolidation, which is exactly what we see on the lower time frame. So that confirms that. that. And this one would actually have a little bit more of a bullish twist to it, of course, because the monthly is in a more bullish posturing. We do see the monthly Stokes getting above the bearish control zone for the first time in over a year, which is accurately where we did kind of crawl out of the last bear market from 2015 and onwards. December 2015 onwards, from this $400 area all the way to $20,000 just a few years later. And we do see monthly RSI, while it is kind of getting rejected from the bullish control zone right now, being resilient in this area is a good thing overall. We can drift sideways here and wait for the exponential to catch up, but that's, whenever this thing comes down and tests the exponential, the next time, that would be the next big buy for myself, but still more bullish posturing on that nonetheless. And of course, the monthly jewel, firing off a buy signal a few months ago, but that's a few months ago, not really too helpful right now. Anyway, I can't be banned. I'm gay for TA, and that would be homophobic to ban me. That's right, guys. We will not be doing any of that racist shit around here. I even have a poster in the background there that says "Don't do racist shit." Or else. Anyways, dumb jokes to be making. Jesus Christ, man, gonna get cut up in all sorts of terrible ways. Should probably be more careful with my speech on the internet. But hey, man, if I need to explain to you that I'm not racist or I'm not anything like that, then it's too much to handle to begin with, man. You should probably know that to begin with. Looking at the Challenger bands, we do see, to me, again, this looks like a more bullish posturing overall. Would suggest that we do have some major supports in that lower 7,000 levels, to be fair. So if Bitcoin did head down, that would be the obvious area for the next major potential bounce, maybe even reversal. But for now, to me, when we're consolidating alongside the top of the Challenger bands right there, I think that that's pretty damn good. Whoa, what is going on over there, man? Jesus Christ. I'm reading some of the I'm reading some of the comments. This is going crazy. God damn. There you go. I'm a shitcoin racist. I am a little bit of a shitcoin racist, you could say that. God damn, that could potentially be cut up in terrible ways as well. But looking at this right here, to me, again, this is a high level consolidation thus far. As long as we remain above last month's low at about 9,100, or I think it's actually different on Bitstamp. Bitstamp has 9050, but anywhere below last month's low, then yes, we could start targeting that move down towards lower 7,000s. But for right now, as long as we hold up above there, I do look at this as just a consolidation at a high level alongside the top Challenger band, which is actually setting up to push it most likely, similar to what we saw back here in, leading up to this major breakout to the upside. Not only that, but the higher time frame that we go, actually, the better that it does look. In fact, going here to a quarterly chart, this is a quarterly, so it's 3 months at a time, and we don't set in one until October. So we got another month of September to really do this guy in. But for right now, the last close that we had was extremely good. I mean, you can see the quarterly chart just rallying off of the 21 exponential moving average the whole way through, which is general health, right? The long-term trajectory is generally healthy. Is kind of how I read that. But the problem with that is that the 21 exponential moving average is all the way down at like 4,500, right? So you can be generally healthy but still come all the way back down there. Is that all that helpful as a trader? Not really, but it does give you insight into the longer-term look on this, which I do still think is quite healthy, and I do think is quite good. And what we're looking at here is not only closing up above, or sorry, not above the top Challenger band, but around the top Challenger band. But usually when you do that, you're setting up to push it, just like you saw back from April 2016, setting up this before we lead up to the next basically year and a half of just straight up. I mean, not just straight up, but parabolic up. So that does matter to me. And then more importantly, whenever we kind of close up towards this guy, anyways, it does kind of set us up for it does set us up and likely imply that we can get back to that 20,000 high. But the timing of that is difficult, right? So before, I've been on record as saying I think that it's possible, not just possible, but probable that Bitcoin gets to back to 20,000 before end of year. I have to take that back because I was aware of a statistic recently that showed that Bitcoin has never got past a prior all-time high before the halving date, before that next halving date. So in this case, that would imply that Bitcoin doesn't get to, will not get above 20,000 before, I believe, May of this coming year of 2020. So that is something, to keep in the, in the back of your mind. I don't know how much I trust that though, because we really only have a couple of, couple of samples there. So that doesn't really make a trend. We need 3 times to make a trend, and we only only have 2 actually, so we're literally short just 1. But I guess we'll find out coming into next year. And regardless of that, I do think that it kind of line up anyways, and it does kind of take the pressure off regardless, just because I do think that to have a little bit more of a longer term minded analysis of this is more helpful than trying to find when are we going to be at here and when. I mean, the best that we could do is maybe go over here to the expected moves chart and do something like that. We could actually go over and find out what would it be from here to May. So from here to May would be how many days? So we got September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May. So that's 9 months. That's actually quite a bit. 9 months, and then so 9 months is about 30 days per. So that'd be like what, 180 days. So let's just do that. It's about 6 months away. Or sorry, 9 months. No, 9 months. 9 times 30 would be 27. Sorry, Jesus Christ, man. Too much of an early morning for me. Anyways, this is, I don't know how well this will get things because it's like really far out there, but the expected moves would show that we have a 68% chance, about a 69% chance to land anywhere between 6,500 and 16,000. Not bad, man. Not fucking mad. Not fucking bad. So yeah, there you go. It would suggest that it's actually quite unlikely that we do get back above 20,000 before that time. At least it would be less than a 16% chance for that to happen from our current area right now. But this is, I don't know how well these expected moves are going to work this far out. It might be asking a little bit too much of it. I'd have to ask Bali, if this would be appropriate. I mean, of course, it's going to be appropriate based upon a mathematical formula. But the thing is, in reality, does it operate like that when we're coming into an area like this? It would be better. It would be better if we were close to that time. I think 3 months out is kind of the best that this one can do, at least from what I've seen. But yeah, anyways, going back to a daily on this, or just going back to 1 day till expiration, I think that tightens up quite a bit more. You can see that this is significantly different. Anyways, going back over here and taking this baby off, and let's go over and check out some of the shit coins now. Or actually, do we want to do some troll underband analysis? We can do some troll underband analysis. Whoops, wrong one. There we go. We can do some troll underband analysis. They would be a little bit more on the bear side, a clear rejection of the medium band right here, the skid mark. And typically you are going to test the downside after that, but we already did, it looks like, just did hold up above it. So okay thus far. Oh, I forgot to check this as well. Let's go check out the Bitcoin difficulty ribbon. We do see, this would also be a little bit more on the bullish side as well. We do see a very, a very accurate signal being pushed off here, and that is when this difficulty ribbon was just a bunch of moving averages based upon the mining difficulty, or which kind of speaks to the miner selling pressure on Bitcoin price action. So whenever we see these guys converge in each other, whenever we see this whole thing converge in each other, like the whole ribbon, that's typically when Bitcoin puts in its low. So as you can see right here, coming out of this downwards market, they all converge in each other right here, and then they start expanding, and that leads into your bullish market for the next few years. Same thing right here during 2014. They all converge in each other right here in late 2015. Then when they start expanding, that's when Bitcoin explodes to the upside. And then you can see in 2019, same thing. They converge on all of each other right around the low, around 3,000-ish region, and then now they're actually diverging once again. So if this is to be trusted, if this is to be the right way of looking at things, this would be a little more on the bullish side as far as a fundamental indicator goes, as we are quite literally expanding now. So if we're expanding, that would suggest that this rally does continue upwards and onwards. Not only that, but we can actually look at the miners revenue with like on a chart format, and we can do that right here, which I do want to talk about as well. Let's put it on like a 2-day maybe. Yeah, there we go. And let's take off the troll underbands. They're not really needed. But we do see let's put this in a line chart actually. Whoops, not that. Here we go. We'll put it in a line chart. So it's going to be the blue line chart right here. And we can actually chart this, right? We can actually chart this, and we do see, a very, very easy way of kind of getting, oh my God, the chart is hidden. Oh, is some chart hidden? What happened there? With my camera. Yeah, sorry, but oh, fuck, man. We can get it through here anyways. So yeah, this is what I keep my eyes on. So we do see Bitcoin essentially whenever it kind of sets in like a local high or local low on the macro, that does become a major support and major resistance going onwards and forwards. Coming up with this first one right here, boom, puts in that high, then it becomes a resistance. Once we break out above it, boom, parabolic, comes back down, bases on that same form of resistance, now turns support. We never break it again. Same thing right here, flip it up and test it, boom, up, flip, and then we do the same thing right here. go parabolic again, flip, come back down, test it, flip it, and good to go. We take out the next one right here, boom, next major move, flip it, and then come back down to the next one, test it, good to go. And then we're doing the same thing right now, which, as you can see, we are actually resting on it as of current moment in time. But let's see how this lines up with price action, because we're just looking at one piece of the whole, right? So let's put another line chart on here. We're going to look at the VLX index, which is going to be represented by the purple, or sorry, not the purple, but the orange line chart. Let's put this on log scale, and we do see that this is great a carry on over into the miners revenue. They like to follow each other. When miners revenue is putting in a low right here, we're putting in lows on price action, and also when we put in these highs, we put in the highs at the same time as well. Then same thing right here. We hit this horizontal on the miners revenue. That's a low right here. Boom, up. Then we come down, put in the low on the miners revenue right here. That's the low on price action right here. And don't let these confuse you with the orange one. With the orange one now, it's kind of getting convoluted. But puts in the low right here on that horizontal. Boom, low on price action right there, and then up. For the next few years. And then we do the same thing more recently, right? In 2019, we tested down towards this past prior one, and that was accurately the low at 3,100 before moving it upwards and onwards. Anyways, now we have to kind of wait this one out because we are technically on the next support, the support trend line, as you can see, as far as miners revenue go. Now, getting rid of the price action chart just because it's kind of convoluted in there. But we do see a nice breakout, above this region right here, and we have tested it thus far. This would be on the more bullish side as well. So I would say that, if you're looking at miners and you're using that as a leading indication, that would be on the better side of things. So there you go. Announcement: don't chill because it's not chill. Oh, I like it, baby, and it rhymes, so it's true. Fucking yeah, man. What's up, Daddy Confetti, by the way? Good to see you, my friend. Good to see him. This is getting so crazy, man. This is just this is great, man. This is fucking great. So yeah, okay, we looked at all of that. Let's go look at the top 2 shitcoins. I'm curious how they're doing right now. Let's go look at Mr. Buterol first, and how's he doing? I'm gonna imagine that he definitely does have a death cross on both. Oops, let's get off the line chart first and foremost. I'm gonna guess that we probably have some candles, dildos. The fuck, man. We probably do have a death cross confirmed as of now. On Stamp, do we? Actually, the death cross is not confirmed on Stamp just yet, but it's happening no matter. I mean, unless we get a pump back up to 220 by end of day, it's going to happen today on Stamp. It's already happened on Finex actually. This is Finex Exchange right here. It's actually happened a couple days ago on this last move. So again, Mr. Buterol in a very precarious place. The problem is that we do actually have competing narrative here. To be fair, you can look at this as a falling pizza, or you can look at this as a death cross. So Bear's going to say death cross below all major moving averages. We're going down. We're going to fucking hell, baby. This thing's a piece of garbage. We're going all the way back down to like 160 or 140. We do see daily soaks looking like they want to cross down here, but not confirmed just yet. But if we do confirm them with the daily close anywhere here or lower by end of day, oh man, oh lord, it's gonna look bad. But like I said, the Bulls actually do have something in their court, and what they have in their court is this massive falling pizza right here, right? Which motherfucker, we're on the wrong chart. Let's go to Stamp. There it is. If we do break back above about 202, 203, that would be the big area. Technically, there's going to be resistances along the way. 216 is going to be an obvious one. 235 is going to be an obvious one. 255 and then 280. But there would be a measure move point is all the way to 280. So again, I do think it is still premature. If we do break below this horizontal right here, like close the daily below there, that's going to be that's going to likely lead us on to the next major low. The death cross likely brings us probably down to at the very least 150, I'd imagine. I mean, there's going to be bounce along the way, right? You're probably going to see a bounce right here, I'd imagine, down around 167, then probably 150 psychological, and then probably somewhere down around here if things get really nasty, somewhere down to like the 130-ish region. But for right now, I would be a little more agnostic on this one because you're going to see it break with Bitcoin. No matter which way Bitcoin breaks, you probably see Mr. Buterol go in the same direction. So Bitcoin back above that 10,450-ish level probably bodes pretty damn well for Buterol. Bitcoin below 98.50 on a daily closing basis probably extremely bad for something like this. You can imagine that most alts are going to get soaked up here too. I mean, even Mr. Buterol, which is one of the majors in this market, and considered one of the more legitimate ones out of a trash can of mostly bullshit, not really looking all that good in this region thus far. Not only that, but Mrs. Litecoin, same sort of thing here too. Very bad. We do have a death cross looming as well. We will get a death cross, assuming that price action is unable to get back above realistically like $87 in the next week, I'd say. We will get the death cross there, and if that were to happen, I'd be looking at a move down towards about really, I mean, $55 looks pretty likely. We can chart this one out. I do think that it's going to be an order of operations as always, but we'd be looking at this level first about $56. Well, you could say this level too, right around 63. Then we'll go. Then we could talk about this level right here, right around 52 to 48, and that's where I'd be looking for a potential low on this one if we do break to the downside. We do still have this trend line coming all the way back from March 17 lows with our December 18 lows right here, which would be coming in and kind of meeting with these two guys in the middle of the 50s. If we were to break down, I suppose it does kind of bode well for that, and does and would suggest that we do bounce, at least try to bounce right there. And we'll kind of have to reassess it after that. But same thing as Mr. Buterol. You know, if this thing could work its way back up above $80, that'd start to look okay, but likely going to do whatever Bitcoin does. Let's go check out traditional markets as well. I do want to cover this. Traditional markets I'm bearish on. Like we said over the last few weeks, I'd be looking for a move down to like the mid 270s over the next month or so. I do think that we probably hit this sooner rather than later now, especially with the way that how political this market's been. So you'll probably notice me really shy off of making like legitimate calls off the lower time frames. Like the lower time frames, I don't feel all that confident on traditional markets just because it's so politically driven right now. You know, I thought that we would get a little bit more extension here, maybe another buck or two to the upside, but that didn't happen. More importantly, the more medium and in general trajectory was to the downside always, and that's kind of what we're looking at here. And I'd still say 275 is where I'd be looking for, but I do think that this ends up being a bear trap actually here, and I do think that they run it the other way eventually. Everyone's way too bearish on this right now, and I don't think that while I do think that the world economies are in trouble, generally speaking, I don't think that trouble actually happens today or this year. I think that it can still take a few years. Remember that the Fed has a few more tricks up their sleeves to keep price up if they want to. They can still go negative rates. They can still just print more money if they want. That's certainly something to be aware of. But as far as legitimate analysis goes, I would say that I feel a little bit more comfortable on the medium to longer term look on this, and that's what I'd say about that. So a little bit lower to go, then I'd be looking for a bear trap and then back up and on. Time frame on that probably in the next few weeks, next couple of weeks I'd imagine, but time frame also not something that I'm too comfortable with. I also think that it's worthwhile to look at gold. Gold is very bullish here. Gold looks extremely good to me. Extremely good close on Friday. All higher time frames are still bullish. Lower time frames maybe maybe a pullback, or sorry, I was gonna say a pullback, maybe not. Maybe a pullback down to like 15-20, but I'd be looking for that to get picked up. This looks like it wants to trend. Monthly is strong, weekly is strong, and this is quite correlated with Bitcoin as we've shown before. So if this is going to be correlated with Bitcoin, then more bullish gold equates to more bullish Bitcoin, right? As we do see the purple histogram showing a pretty damn strong correlation. This is on a monthly. On a weekly, it's certainly a lot higher actually. It's about an 80 read, which is extremely correlated. So I do think that gold has some more upside here, back up into the blue box territory, somewhere between 1575 and 1615. Probably in the next couple of weeks, and then I'll be looking for the next sort of top to be put in for the interim, and then come back and reassess it. But a bullish gold, does bode well for Bitcoin, so I'd say that's on the more healthy side. Anyways, speaking of Bitcoin, let's get back onto this baby. I think it's time to wrap this bitch up. I've already been speaking for an hour, which is probably annoying as fuck. You get to hear my raspy lesbian voice on this lovely little Sunday morning when you should be praying to Goat Jesus. God damn, man. Goat Jesus, by the way, going to be making an appearance soon enough. So I hear. Anyways, Bitcoin on lower time frames to wrap this one up. It's 98.50 to the downside support. This blue box territory, anywhere below there on a 4-hour total closing basis is likely going to be problems, but we really want to see a 12-hour or daily close below there for full confidence. Not that you can ever have like full confidence, but it would really start to look a lot more like, okay, we actually do want to break this down now, and this is now an actionable trade, not just from like a technical analysis standpoint, but also an opportunity cost standpoint. And by the same token, to the upside, our major resistance, not even a major resistance, but like our more preliminary it's not even a major resistance, but it's just a more preliminary resistance, is right around 10,450. So Bitcoin really getting comfortable within this region, and as we do tighten this up more and more, you can expect that whichever way that we do break is going to be very, very violent. So if you aren't already in position, this is perhaps it's time to just watch. I felt that way the whole way through. Not the whole way through, but the last like week or so. Really haven't had too many positions of my own. I mean, someone was asking the other day, like, why no proof of trade? I haven't taken a trade. Understand that one of the biggest things that I learned as a trader is when to not take a trade. I mean, holy shit, man. That was one of the things that really helped propel me from intermediary to like advanced is after you learn like the initial steps and your initial process and you can play that out, you get excited because you see opportunities everywhere, but you realize once you get advanced, you can't take every opportunity because that takes you away from the better opportunities or potentially better opportunities, which are going to, provide an opportunity cost of, being involved in those. So I'd keep an eye out for that. But right now would be one of those times I would say it reminds me of a lot of what we did over here during late 2018, not necessarily because I think that we're going to resolve to the downside, but because Bitcoin just tightened this area up. And you do see that historical volatility percentile was operating in a very similar fashion there as well, just getting extremely low after a long drift. And then same thing here, you can see that we're trending to the down, or we're trending down on the historical volatility percentile, which is is starting to get a little bit more nasty. But as far as today goes, probably close somewhere like right around here. I'd imagine probably some like a doji doodle, just frustrate people one more time, and close weekly as a doji doodle, which does offer up a pretty easy way to trade it coming into next week. I would say anywhere above our top at 10,950, and I'd be looking for a long all the way up to 11,500, maybe even 12,000, and perhaps even resolution fully to the upside, maybe even fall gold. Get the next breakout. By the same token, if we do break the downside of this at 97.50, that would also be good enough for me for calling a move at the very least to the 8,900 level, and then probably beyond over time. And that actually does look. I mean, the way that we're situated here, I don't think that we're going to do another doji doodle for this week. I think that we probably actually begin a move start coming into next week, which is going to be actually early September. So we quite literally are on track, are on schedule to meet what we spoke about over the last month, essentially, that the move likely happens early to middle of September. So yeah, I think I've covered up everything that I want to say there. I suppose maybe flesh out the upside a little bit more. If we do break this baby to the upside, 10,450, I would be targeting move first and foremost towards 10,750, then 11,000, then beyond. Really, if we pop back above here, I'd actually feel pretty good about Bitcoin. Putting in another bear trap right here, and then working its way up, getting out of the danger zone. I think that would be pretty damn good. But right now, we're not really getting too much out of this. I don't think that we close above or below either today. I think that we close literally probably right around here at about 10.1, 10.2 region, and then get a legitimate chance coming into next week sometime. Probably going to be coupled with some sort of economic event, I would imagine, as well, because it does seem like Bitcoin actually is getting played off of your traditional sphere with regards to like the Fed having meetings and whatnot. Those seem to actually have legitimate implications with Bitcoin price action. So I would keep that in mind. But yeah, if we do break it to the downside, it'd still be an order of operations. I'd still really want to see this 9,400 level broken on a 4-hour dildo closing basis as well. That would be a pretty big one for me, as we did, we tested it so many times on the last kind of bear trap within this region. So I would be careful with that. It's kind of like the last Mohicans. If you see something happen on a lower time frame, but not necessarily confirmed on a higher time frame, this would be like the lowest time frame, like on a 4-hour, that I'd be comfortable with calling resolution for the downside. And again, if we do break to the downside, targets would be 89, then 83, 84, then 72, 73. But I'm not necessarily saying that all of them get hit. I really would take them one step at a time, because I do believe that the 8,900 level would have a legitimate possibility to reverse it and do like a whole on fake out over time. So yeah, I think that's going to do it for this morning's video. I do want to wish you all on this nice little Sunday morning. I will be staying on for Twitch for just a little bit longer as I upload this video. So if you want to hang out for a little bit, feel free. With that said, as always, wish you well, wish you the best of the best, and always the happiest of the happiest. God damn, man, have a nice little Sunday, and see you soon.